Most people use ChatGPT like it's a basic assistant. I use it like 5 sharp operators on payroll who never clock out. $20 a month, 5 high-level minds working 24/7, helping me move faster, think clearer, and focus only on what actually gets results. I didn't figure this out in tech. I figured out running real businesses where decisions cost real money and mistakes hurt. Today, I'll show you the 5 ways I use ChatGPT so well it almost feels unfair. The first strategy is what I call the mirror brain. During the pandemic, when my gyms were forced to shut down, I was at home a lot more. That is when my father's dementia got worse. He had already lost strength in his legs and was mostly bedridden. What hit me the hardest was watching his memory disappear in real time. He would forget what happened 5 minutes ago. Some days, he would ask my mom if he could call his mother, who had passed away in the 70s. There was no carryover, no continuity. One moment did not connect to the next. Every conversation reset. Every day started from zero. ChatGPT works the same way. Every new chat starts blank. It does not remember what you told it yesterday. It does not remember how you think. It does not remember your preferences, unless you build the memory layer yourself. But there's a way to change that. You can give it something close to continuity, something close to memory. Here's how I do it. I use a 3-step system. First step, capture. Turn on voice mode and say this out loud. Act as my strategic thinking partner. Interview me for 15 minutes about my background, how I make decisions, how I communicate, my strengths and my blind spots. Ask follow-up questions. Do not summarize yet. Then just keep talking. Do not clean up. Do not try to sound smart. This is raw capture only. Then the second step, convert. This is where raw conversation turns into an operating system. Upload that transcript back into ChatGPT and say, organize this into a structured summary of who I am, how I think, how I make decisions, and how I want responses delivered. Once it gives you that summary, go to the settings, open custom instructions, paste it there. And this is also where you tell it exactly how to behave. Say things like, always format data as tables when possible. Do not send long walls of text. Be concise, be direct. Now it knows who you are. Now it knows how you want answers shaped. Now it knows what to avoid by default. And here's where it gets interesting. The third step, containers. Think of projects like separate rooms. Each room holds its own memory, its own files, its own repeated tasks, its own instructions. If it's a business, upload your relevant documents, your notes, your PDFs, anything that matters in that lane. You can even customize instructions inside each project. Just don't mix domains. Your business rooms stays business. Your content rooms stays content. Your health room stays health. When you do this, it stops feeling like a temporary chat window. It starts feeling like a persistent brain, and that solves memory problem. But memory is only the first battle. You still need to force it to move things faster. That's next. The second strategy is what I call the backup crew. Picture this. You walk into your house carrying 8 grocery bags. The phone is ringing. One kid is crying. The stove is on. Something is about to spill. Something is about to burn. Everything needs your attention the same time. And you only have 2 hands and 1 brain. That's how most people work. One task, then the next, then the next. But the problem isn't lining up politely. It's all happening at once. And your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. So you need 3 upgrades inside ChatGPT. And I started doing this at our school when enrollment, staffing, and compliance were all hitting at once. Number 1, your doers. Stop working in a straight line. Turn on agents. Let it handle multiple moves at once. Instead of doing one small task, give it a real assignment. Like scan every expenses from the last 12 months across all locations. Flag anything that grew more than 15%. Group it by category. Show me the top 5 areas bleeding cash. That's the whole work. Let it run. You go focus on something that actually needs your judgment. But here's the limitation. ChatGPT still lives inside the chat window. It can analyze and organize the data, but it won't automatically update your accounting system or rebuild the processes for you. Number 2, your camera. Stop writing essays to explain what's wrong. Take a picture. Snap the classroom schedule that feels chaotic. Take a photo of the playground setup. Screenshot the enrollment dashboard that isn't making sense. upload it and say, study this. One looks off. Give me a clear move to improve it. Now it's not reading your version of the problem. It's looking at the actual situation, and it will spot layout issues, bottlenecks, and gaps your eyes skip over when you have been staring at it all day. And finally, number 3, your speed reader. This is the kind of deep digging you used to pay someone a lot of money to do. Recently, I was talking to the director at our Goddard school location, and she told me something that stuck. She said, I had to review 6 full compliance binders before our state inspection. Licensing rules, safety protocols, staff certifications, emergency plans, parent communication policies. And it was about 450 pages of dense material. And here's what she did. She uploaded all of it into ChatGPT and had it break everything down like a full compliance team, reviewing it from every angle. One afternoon, that was it. Before this, that would have taken weeks. That's the world we're walking into. In this new world, you won't win by clocking more hours. You will win by having better judgment. So this backup crew gives you real force without hiring a team. But the next strategy isn't about giving orders. It's there to challenge you. Your third strategy is what I call the pressure test. In the NFL, the best teams look unbeatable on paper. But once the playoff starts, pressure exposes everything. And sometimes the real problem isn't the talent. It's blind spots. Inside the building, the game plan can feel perfect. But out on the field, it shows flaws. So one Super Bowl level coach did something smart. He assigned a small group one job. Their job was to attack the plan, tear it apart, find what breaks before the opponent does. Because he understood something simple. When it really matters, agreement is dangerous. You need pushback. And there's a reason for that. You overvalue what you build yourself. It's called the IKEA effect. Even smart people can spot flaws in someone else's thinking instantly, but miss the cracks in their own. So here's the shift. Most people use ChatGPT for validation. You should use it to feel challenged. But here's the catch. ChatGPT is wired to be agreeable, so you have to tell it to stop being nice. Here are 3 ways to flip it into a challenge mode. First, use what I call trigger words. You're forcing it to push back. Don't ask, does this look good? That invites agreement. Say something like, tear this apart like you're trying to beat me. Or find the 3 biggest flaws in this plan. You might not love the answers, but you'll get something sharper. Second, run a control collision. Before you roll out a new pricing model, a hiring plan, or marketing angle, tell it, run a debate between a cautious CFO and aggressive growth operator. Let the cautious side question the risks. Let the aggressive side defend the upside. Watch where the tension shows up. Now the pressure hits in practice, not in front of your team or investors. Now the third one, the blind spot scan. Drop in your strategy and ask, based on my past decisions, where am I likely confident? Because success creates patterns. You start trusting your instinct a little too much, and the people around you stop challenging you. This step forces friction back into the room, but finding the cracks is in the end. You still need a faster way to build real skill. That's where next strategy comes in, what I call the internal circuit. And it breaks the old belief that getting to be the best takes years of repetition. You have probably heard this story about Max Planck. After he won the Nobel Prize, he went on tour giving the same talk on quantum mechanics night after night. And every night, his chauffeur sat in the front row and memorized the whole thing. One night, the chauffeur said, "Professor, I'm bored of just listening. Let's switch. I'll go on stage and give the lecture, and you sit in the audience wearing my cap." Planck agreed. Same words, same structure, same rhythm. The talk was perfect. Then the Q&A started. A physicist in the audience stood up and asked a deep technical question. The chauffeur didn't panic. He smiled and said, "I'm surprised to hear such a simple question in a city as advanced as Munich. To show you how simple it is, I'm going to let my chauffeur answer it." Of course, that was Max Planck. But here's the point. Most people use ChatGPT like chauffeur. They copy and paste smart sounding lines to seem sharp. They get fluency without foundation. So here are 3 ways to build the internal circuit. Real understanding without turning into that chauffeur. First, the everyday decoder. Don't ask it to define a term like you're reading a manual. Give it a frame. Say something like, explain how machine learning works using only streaming service language. Now it clicks. The algorithm becomes the recommendation engine that learns what you watch. Your viewing history becomes the training data. The suggested shows are the output. You're not learning from scratch. You're translating complex language into something your brain already lives with every day. Second is what I call the clarity ladder. Albert Einstein once said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it. So don't just say, explain artificial intelligence to me. Instead say, explain artificial intelligence to me in 3 different ways. First say, explain this like I'm in elementary school. Then say, now explain it like I'm in high school with clear logic and practical examples. Then say, now explain it like I'm in graduate school and walk me through the core theory. When you build it layer by layer like that, the idea stops sounding impressive and starts making sense. And third is what I call the teach back loop. If you can teach it, you can actually own it. So use AI like it's your student and say, I want to build a strong enrollment system for my school. I need to understand how the funnel really works. Then say, skip the fluff, only give me the practical steps. After that, test me. Make me explain back to you. Now you're not just reading information, you're rehearsing it. And you've just compressed a 5-figure course into a system you can run on your own. So now you're here. You have built a high-powered ChatGPT system, but even the best system can run hot. The 5th strategy is what I call the midnight mare, and without it, the rest won't hold. Over 150 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was president of the United States, and it was a lonely seat. There were things he couldn't just talk through with anyone. So he used something simpler than a coach, a blank sheet of paper. When he was upset or stuck, he would write it all out. The anger, the doubt, the decision, the words he wanted to say. Sometimes he never sent the letter at all. He just let the page hold it for him. That was his coach. And here are 3 ways to turn ChatGPT into a temporary coach for you when you need it. First is what I call the brain dump mirror. When you're overwhelmed, your thoughts turn into a knot. It happens to me too. Open voice mode and say, I'm going to talk for 5 minutes and get everything out. Don't cut in, just listen. When I'm done, sort what I said into 3 buckets. Things I can handle today, things I need to hand off, and things that are just noise. That's it. Then let it all out without filtering yourself. Second is what I call the reset mirror. Maybe you just got hit with a bad news, a deal fell apart, a person quit, a plan collapsed. In that moment, you say to ChatGPT, I just took a real hit and I feel like I messed everything up. Then say, reframe this for me. Show me how this could be a turning point, not an ending. Stay in that conversation until your brain slows down. Push back on it and let it push back on you. Even if you're not fully convinced, it will slow the emotional spiral almost immediately. And third and final one is what I call the judgment mirror. Before you make a big call like selling a business, changing careers, or opening a new location, talk it out. Say to ChatGPT, I'm about to do X. Here's my reasoning. Let's talk it through. You don't have to trust ChatGPT's advice. Honestly, you don't. But saying it out loud helps you hear your own thinking clearly. We just covered 5 strategies and 15 ways to work with ChatGPT better. But here's the truth. All of this is basically an edge. In business, when a company finds an edge, it might be a faster system, a better model, or a smarter process. But competitors catch on. What feels special today becomes standard tomorrow. That's how markets move. So what happens when everyone has access to the same tools like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini? How do you keep your advantage then? I'll tell you a moment that changed how I thought about my edge. When I was in the middle of selling my Planet Fitness locations, everything looked like numbers. Valuation, equipment, lease terms, legal language. I was buried in spreadsheets. During one long negotiation call, my attorney paused and said something simple. He said, right now, everyone in this deal is watching you. If you get tense, the room gets tense. If you get reactive, the deal gets reactive. That hit me. I thought my job was to win the argument. But in that moment, I realized my real job was to manage the temperature in the room. Because when tension rises, logic disappears. customers. And if I couldn't control my own emotions, I couldn't expect the deal to survive. That line stuck with me because somewhere along the way, we lost that idea. For a long time, we have been trying to act like machines. We have judged our value by output and productivity. If we weren't producing or buying, it felt like we didn't count. So what happened? We tried to outwork the machines. But now the machines are actually here and they're taking that work. And that's not automatically bad. It might actually be a release. A release from pretending we're built to grind non-stop. A release from trying our worth to how many hours we can push or how much we can crank out. Permission to slow down. Permission to feel something again. Permission to care about people instead of just performance. In a strange way, AI might be lifting some of that mechanical weight off of our shoulders so we can return to what humans are wired for. And maybe the real gift of AI is in efficiency. Maybe it's that it forces us to become more human again. If you like this video, go watch my other video next. Because once you have got ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini working like a real crew, the next bottleneck is you. If you can't speak clean, decide fast, and land the point, the tool doesn't matter. That video breaks down the 7-step articulation ladder so your ideas don't get ignored just because your delivery creates doubt. And quick favor, if this helped you think more clearly, please subscribe. It's free, it helps the channel, and it tells YouTube I'm not talking to myself in here. Also, if you want the thinking behind these frameworks in writing, sign up for the newsletter. That's where I share ideas that don't always make it into the videos. And I'll leave you with this. AI doesn't reward speed. It rewards structure. And structure is a skill you can build. I'm Farooq Zafar, the founder of Grit Behind Growth, where we build real systems with grit, not gimmicks. Let's build something real together.